1966. I graduated in high school in 1964. Am I the oldest person in the room? Probably close. Oh, Bob. Okay. Bob's claiming seniority. Are you? Pretty much the same, anyway. All right. Okay, great. I'm not the oldest person in there. What a great pleasure. But just briefly, when I was in sixth grade, I lived. Yeah. Gary. Oh, okay. I lived in a community in the 50s where there were one-room schools in New Brunswick, and in sixth grade, the kids were all brought together into a consolidated school, they called them. And in sixth grade, there were 42 students in my class. 42 students, and actually my aunt was the teacher. I remember that very graphically. Now, just as a test for those of you who are younger, and of course maybe grew up in different places, maybe more sophisticated places than New Brunswick at that time, I want you to make a guess about how many students you think were with me on the graduation platform in 1964. There were 42 of us in sixth grade. How many do you think there were of us that successfully completed the grade 12 high school program in that high school in 1964? Just think in your head, pick a number. Okay, how many of the people in the room have guessed a number that's in excess of 30? Over 30. Look around the room. I'd like everybody to look around. See these people? You want to work with them? They're optimists. Positive thinkers. Great. Wonderful. How about 20 to 30? Somebody in that range. Way up high. Good, good. You're either young or you're, again, optimists. 15 to 20? Few. And under 15? Under 10. Okay, I would suggest that you not work with these people. They're really, really, maybe they have a bias against New Brunswick and they think everybody. We did better than that. There were actually 12 students in my 12th grade class, and 11 of us graduated. One guy didn't. He had to wait another year. 11 out of 42. Do the calculation. I think it's just 27% or something like that. Now, what does that tell us? There was nothing about special needs inherent in the thinking of people that ran that school system. It meant the conception in the 60s in this country. And in some parts of Canada, they're still not graduating any more than 60, 70% of the kids. We're doing a lot better where I live, actually, now. But partly because there's not much choice. You go to school, there are no jobs for young kids anymore. And of course, not all those people that dropped out of school had miserable lives. Some of them went to work and they probably made a lot more money in their life than I have, being the successful professional sort of thing. But it does, I think, pretty clearly show the foundation of our education system across Canada and across North America. And that is coming out of the generation that ran schools when I was there. It was seen as a privilege. You go to school, you work hard, you succeed, you behave well, or you leave. And 31 of my colleagues in grade 6 left. They were abandoned along the way. And I would suggest that those of you, and some of your experiences probably weren't all that different from that. You're younger. If you lived in a different community, it may have been different. But that still is an underlying principle of how we've seen education. It's a privilege, and all of the factors that flow from that about how easily you learn, how well you behave, how well you assimilate yourself into the standards of the school are the factors that predominate. It's not the other way around. Now, reform in education, and particularly around kids who have obstacles to learning or barriers to their success in learning, are difficult because, first of all, it's complex. And it requires changes to the system. It's not like the school system adopting a new reading program or a new science curriculum. For teachers to successfully do the things and for teachers to be supported to do the things that are needed to assure success for the kids that you represent, it takes a lot of work by a lot of people. It's not just a trifling little minor action. It affects everybody. Everybody's affected and has to be supportive, and it requires changes to how we conceive curriculum. You know, I noticed in one of the documents I was just quickly looking at here in reports, things like putting the principles of universal design into the way we operate schools, the curriculum of the schools. And it takes leadership and sustained effort. It can't be just today's variety of ice cream that people like, and then next season there's something else they go on to. Having successful schools for kids who have learning difficulties, or language choice here, you could say barriers to learning and success, is not a one-off thing. It's got to be done in a clear way over a long period and have sustained effort to make it successful. Now, this is a slide that I've just created not too long ago to try to pull together graphically how I think about this. You know, in the old days, well, actually, there's a basic commitment within our education system that everybody be educated. That's certainly now the given in Canada. And that we try to do it with quality and equity. Every minister of education in the country, every school director or superintendent of a school board would say this. That's what they say they're up to. They want to have schools where you have achievement, equity, quality for everybody. So that's the sort of common pledge to the citizenry to do a good job with their kids when they go to school. And then, because the system hasn't worked for everybody, and that's why we're here today on a Saturday, we've had to develop this separate initiative of special needs education, special education, whatever it is you want to call it, but this whole separate endeavor that tries to work for the accommodation of individuals who don't easily succeed here. And this system has not responded appropriately, so we've had to carve out a different whole set of procedures and a separate circle. And of course, there's inherently difficulties when you leave this circle.